Have you ever noticed that some people say very little, yet they still capture everyone's attention? They walk into a room, say only a few words, and people remember them for a long time. On the other hand, some people talk for hours, yet no one takes their words seriously. Why does this happen? Do they possess some kind of magical power? Were they born naturally influential? Or do they know psychological communication techniques that ordinary people don't? The truth is that effective communication is not an inborn talent. It is a skill, an art that can be learned. In today's world, your success does not depend only on how much you know. It depends on how effectively you communicate what you know. Many talented people remain behind simply because they cannot express themselves properly, and many ordinary people achieve extraordinary success solely because of their communication skills. Today, I will share 7 psychological communication tricks that can completely transform the way you communicate. So stay with me until the end, because the 7th rule may change your life. Friends, almost every opportunity in life is connected to communication. Whether it is a job interview, a business meeting, relationships, friendships, or leadership, your ability to communicate becomes your identity. People observe your behavior before they look at your degree. They listen to your communication before they read your resume. And often, just a few minutes of conversation determine how much importance someone will give you. That is why working on your communication skills is one of the most valuable investments you can make. Now, let's begin with the first rule. Rule 1, listen first, then speak. Have you ever noticed that most people talk, but they do not truly listen? While the other person is speaking, their mind is already preparing a response. They hear the words, but they do not understand the emotions, and this is where most misunderstandings begin. The truth is that before becoming a good speaker, you must become a good listener. Let me tell you a short story. A young employee went to his boss. He was stressed. He had a long list of problems. He kept talking and explaining all his difficulties. The boss did not interrupt him. He gave no advice. He delivered no lecture. He simply sat quietly and listened attentively. After about 10 minutes, the employee suddenly stopped and smiled. He said, "Sir, I think I know what I need to do now." The boss looked surprised, "But I haven't said anything yet." The employee replied, "That's exactly the point, sir. You listened to me without interrupting. While talking, I found the solution myself." Friends, not everyone needs advice. Sometimes people simply need someone who makes them feel that their words matter. When you listen to someone with full attention, you give them respect, and there is no greater gift than respect. The next time someone speaks to you, do not interrupt. Put your phone away. Look into their eyes. Nod occasionally to show that you are listening, and do not rush to respond. Remember this. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And many times, the most powerful response is not found in words, it is found in attentive listening. Rule 2. Use people's names. Here is a hard truth. Most people are more interested in themselves than in anything else. They do not think about your car as much as you think they do. They do not think about your job as much as you think they do. They do not even think about your problems as much as you think they do. But there is one thing that instantly captures a person's attention, and that is their own name. Psychology tells us that a person's name is one of the sweetest and most important sounds they can hear. When someone remembers our name, our brain receives a small signal that says, "I matter. I am recognized. This person notices me." That is why influential people develop the habit of remembering names. Think about it. If someone says, "You did a great job," it feels good. But if they say, "Rahul, you did a great job," the impact is completely different. Why? Because now the message has moved beyond the crowd and reached you personally. A name is not just a collection of letters. It is part of a person's identity, their story, and their existence. That is why it hurts when someone forgets your name. And that is why you instantly like someone who remembers it even after months. However, there is an important point here. Using a person's name should feel natural. Some people repeat names in every sentence. Rahul, how are you, Rahul? Rahul, what do you think, Rahul? This does not create influence. It sounds forced and unnatural. The right approach is to use a person's name at the beginning of a conversation or at important moments during it. Starting today, develop a new habit. Whenever you meet someone new, pay close attention to their name. Use it once or twice during the conversation, and make an effort to remember it afterward. Remember, people always want to feel important, and many times, you do not need to say something extraordinary to win someone's heart. Simply saying their name with respect and warmth is enough. Because people do not remember words, they remember how important you made them feel. Rule 3, speak less. Speak powerfully. There is a mistake that most people make every day without even realizing it. They believe that talking more is a sign of confidence. They think they need to express an opinion in every discussion, comment on every topic, and fill every silence with words. But the truth is completely different. The most influential people in the world are often the ones who speak the least. And when they do speak, everyone listens. Why? Because their words carry weight. Imagine a meeting where 10 people are talking continuously. Everyone is trying to prove their point. But in one corner of the room sits a person who has remained silent the entire time. They are listening carefully, observing and understanding. Then, at the right moment, they speak just one sentence. Suddenly, everyone turns toward them, because their words contain clarity, depth, and most importantly, value instead of noise. A wise man was once asked, "Why do you speak so little?" He smiled and replied, "Because I want people to remember my words, not my voice." This is not just a simple sentence. It is the entire science of powerful communication. When you talk all the time, people gradually start taking your words for granted. Your voice becomes background noise, but when you speak thoughtfully, your words gain importance. Remember, wise people do not respond to everything. They do not jump into every argument. They do not feel the need to impress everyone. They understand that one well-timed sentence can be more powerful than 100 unnecessary ones. Starting today, practice a simple habit. Before speaking, ask yourself, will what I am about to say add value to this conversation? If the answer is yes, speak. If the answer is no, remain silent, because silence is not weakness. Very often, silence is the loudest form of confidence. Remember, influential people do not speak more. They speak better, few words, clear message, deep impact. And that is the art that transforms ordinary conversation into powerful communication. Rule 4, make the other person feel important. If I asked you who the hungriest person in the world is, you might say someone who has not eaten for days. But psychology gives a different answer. The hungriest person in the world is often the one who is starving for significance. Every human being carries a deep desire within them, the desire to be seen, understood, and appreciated. That is why people seek likes on social media. That is why people talk about their achievements. And that is why a sincere compliment can instantly brighten someone's face. Because human beings do not live on food alone. They also live on respect. Now look around you. Most people are busy talking about themselves. Very few people make others feel important. And those who master this skill win hearts wherever they go. However, there is a critical difference you must understand. Appreciation and flattery are not the same thing. Flattery is fake. Its purpose is often personal gain. But genuine appreciation comes from the heart and reaches the heart. Imagine a colleague gives an excellent presentation. You could simply say, "Good presentation." That sounds nice, but its impact is limited. Instead, imagine saying, "The way you explained such a difficult topic in such a simple way was genuinely impressive." Now the person immediately feels that you truly noticed their effort, and that touches people deeply. Remember, people may forget general compliments, but they rarely forget the person who recognized their effort, talents, and strengths. Starting today, build a new habit. Every day, sincerely appreciate at least one person. Appreciate their work. Appreciate their thinking. Appreciate their effort. Appreciate their character. You will begin to see relationships change, because the fastest way to connect with people is not through their weaknesses. It is through their strengths. And when you make someone feel important, you do not just gain their attention. You gain their trust. And trust is one of the most valuable currencies in the world. Rule 5, the magic of body language. Here is an interesting question. Have you ever met someone who said very little, yet left a powerful impression on you? And have you ever met someone who spoke beautifully, yet somehow you did not trust them? If so, the reason was not just their words. It was their body language. The truth is that people read you before they listen to you. Your face, your eyes, your voice, your posture. Everything sends a message. And often your body speaks louder than your mouth. Let's start with eye contact. When you look into someone's eyes while speaking, you communicate confidence, honesty, and presence. You tell them that you are fully engaged in the conversation. However, there is a difference between confidence and staring. Constant staring can make people uncomfortable. So maintain balanced and natural eye contact. Now let's talk about smiling. A genuine smile is a language understood by everyone. It breaks barriers, reduces tension, and makes people feel comfortable around you. Remember, looking serious and looking influential are not the same thing. Sometimes a simple smile can achieve what a long speech cannot. Now consider confidence. Imagine two people saying exactly the same thing. The first person stands with slouched shoulders and a weak voice. The second person stands straight, keeps their shoulders back, and speaks with calm certainty. Whom would you trust more? The answer is obvious, because confidence is first seen and only then heard. And finally, there is one of the most powerful tools of all, your tone of voice. Many people choose the right words but deliver them with the wrong tone. Remember, people do not only listen to what you say, they also feel how you say it. Speak calmly. Speak clearly. Do not rush. Give importance to every word. Because powerful communication is not just about words. It is about your entire presence. When your eyes show confidence, your face carries warmth, your body shows stability, and your voice conveys certainty, people do not just listen to your message. They listen to you. And that is the true magic of body language. Rule 6. Learn to ask questions. Most people make a very big mistake. They think that being influential means talking more, telling their own stories, sharing their achievements, and constantly proving their opinions. But the truth is something entirely different. The most interesting people in the world are not the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who ask the best questions. Think about it. When you meet someone who genuinely shows interest in what you have to say, asks thoughtful questions, and tries to understand your perspective, how do you feel? You immediately feel more connected to them. Why? Because every human being wants to be heard. Everyone wants someone to take an interest in their story. And questions are the key that unlocks the door to people's hearts. However, there is an important distinction. Ordinary questions and powerful questions are not the same. Ordinary questions start conversations. Powerful questions deepen them. For example, how was your day? That is a normal question. But if you ask, what happened today that impacted you the most? The conversation instantly moves to a deeper level. Some questions make people think. Questions like, why do you think that? What did you learn from that experience? If you had another chance, what would you do differently? These questions do not just invite answers. They invite experiences, emotions, and stories. And people connect through stories, not facts. Remember, when you constantly talk about yourself, people may listen to you. But when you ask meaningful questions, people begin to like you. Because you are giving them a rare gift, the opportunity to openly talk about themselves. Starting today, adopt a simple rule. In every conversation, ask at least 3 good questions. Be curious. Do not be judgmental. Focus on understanding rather than impressing, because influential people are remembered not for having all the answers, but for asking the right questions. And sometimes, one great question can accomplish what 100 pieces of advice cannot. That is why the person who learns to ask questions does more than hold conversations. They create meaningful connections. Rule 7. Think before you speak. Many mistakes in life can be corrected. Lost money can be earned again. Missed opportunities can return. But some words, once spoken, can never be taken back. That is why so many relationships are damaged by a single sentence. So many friendships end because of one moment of anger. So many careers are hurt by one careless response. The problem is not that people say the wrong things. The problem is that they speak before they think. In anger, in pride, in haste, in emotional moments, and afterward they regret it. But by then, it is often too late. Imagine someone says something that upsets you. Your anger rises, your heart beats faster, and immediately you respond with harsh words. At that moment, it may feel satisfying. You may think you have defended yourself. But hours later, days later, or even years later, people often regret the words they spoke in anger. That is why influential people do not simply react. They respond. And there is a huge difference between the two. A reaction comes from emotion. A response comes from wisdom. So here is a simple but powerful principle, the 3-second rule. Whenever you are about to say something important, pause. Just 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3. Then ask yourself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it respectful? If the answer to all three is yes, speak. If not, remain silent. Remember, not every truth needs to be spoken, and not every necessary message needs to be delivered harshly. Wisdom is not just choosing the right words. Wisdom is choosing the right words at the right time and in the right way. From today onward, do not let your tongue become a servant of your emotions. Make it a servant of your judgment. Because the strongest person is not the one who speaks the loudest. The strongest person is the one who has the power to speak, yet knows when to remain silent. And when they finally speak, their words build bridges instead of walls. That is the true mark of powerful communication. Powerful communication techniques used by influential people. So far, we have discussed 7 powerful communication rules. Now let's talk about some techniques that highly influential people often use naturally, sometimes without even realizing it. These habits may seem small, but their impact is enormous. Technique 1. The mirror technique. Human beings naturally like people who feel similar to them. Pay attention to 2 close friends having a conversation. Their body language often becomes similar. Their speaking pace becomes similar. Their energy begins to match. This is called mirroring. If the other person is calm, stay a little calmer. If they are excited, raise your energy slightly. But remember one important thing: do not copy them. Simply create harmony. Because people can detect imitation, but they can feel genuine connection. Technique 2. The power of the pause. Most people are afraid of silence. They think that pausing makes them look weak. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Silence is power. When you say something important, do not immediately rush into the next sentence. Pause for a moment. Just 2 seconds. That pause gives weight to your words. That pause allows people to absorb what you just said. That pause creates impact. Many great speakers use silence as one of their strongest tools. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the value of giving their words space to breathe. Technique 3. The silence technique. Many people feel uncomfortable whenever there is silence in a conversation. They immediately try to fill every gap with words. Influential people do not do that. They understand that not every moment needs to be filled with talking. Sometimes silence itself is the strongest response. Why? Because a person who is comfortable with silence is usually confident. They are not desperate for attention. They are not trying to prove themselves. They are comfortable with their own presence, and that confidence is felt by everyone around them. Technique 4. Connect through emotions. Here is another powerful secret. People may be impressed by facts, but they connect through emotions. You can give someone hundreds of statistics. You can present endless data. But if you touch their emotions, they will remember you. That is why emotional connection is often more powerful than information. People forget numbers. People forget advice, but they remember how you made them feel. Technique 5. The power of storytelling. And this is exactly why stories are so powerful. People forget facts. People forget lectures. People forget instructions. But stories stay with them. Stories make ideas memorable. Stories create emotional connection. Stories help people see themselves in the message. That is why great communicators use stories instead of simply presenting information. A story turns information into experience, and experience is what people remember. Ravi's story. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Ravi. He was hardworking. He was honest, but he was extremely shy. At work, his presence was almost invisible. People interrupted him during meetings. His ideas received very little attention, and his opinions were rarely taken seriously. One day, Ravi realized something important. The problem was not his ability. The problem was his communication. So he decided to improve. He began listening carefully to people. He started remembering names. He learned to ask better questions. He worked on his body language. At first, the changes seemed small, but the results were powerful. People began noticing him. His opinions started receiving respect. His ideas gained attention. A few months later, he was promoted to team leader. And 2 years later, the same Ravi was sitting in a manager's chair. His technical skills had not changed dramatically. What changed was his ability to connect with people. And that made all the difference. Final message. Remember this. Opportunities do not always go to the most talented people. Very often, they go to the people who know how to present their talent effectively. Communication is not about talking more. It is about connecting better. Listen deeply. Remember names. Speak with purpose. Make others feel important. Use confident body language. Ask meaningful questions. Think before you speak. Master these skills and you will notice something remarkable. People will not only hear you, they will remember you. Conclusion. Now that we have explored all 7 communication rules and the powerful techniques used by influential people, one truth becomes clear. Communication is not about speaking more. It is about creating connection. Many people spend years improving their knowledge, learning new skills, and working hard toward their goals. But they often overlook one of the most valuable abilities in life: the ability to communicate effectively. Think about it. A brilliant idea has little value if no one understands it. A great opportunity can be lost because of poor communication. Strong relationship can be damaged by careless words. And a talented person can remain unnoticed if they cannot express themselves clearly. That is why communication is not just a skill, it is a life multiplier. It improves your career, it strengthens your relationships, it increases your confidence, and it helps you influence people in a positive way. Let us quickly remember the 7 rules. Rule 1, listen before you speak. Rule 2, use people's names. Rule 3, speak less, speak powerfully. Rule 4, make others feel important. Rule 5, master your body language. Rule 6, learn to ask meaningful questions. Rule 7, think before you speak. And beyond these rules, remember the deeper lesson. People may forget your words, people may forget your achievements, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. Every conversation is an opportunity to build trust, an opportunity to inspire, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to create meaningful connections. The most influential people are not necessarily the loudest people in the room. Often, they are the people who listen the best, understand the deepest, and speak with the greatest intention. So starting today, do not focus only on being heard. Focus on being understood. Do not focus only on impressing people. Focus on connecting with them. Because when you learn the art of communication, you do more than improve conversations. You improve your entire life, and that is the true power of communication.